Morning peeps, good morning everyone, how are we all doing? Hopefully you guys are all doing well. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button. If you guys are new to the channel, don't forget as well to like and share the vids. I was up in Leeds yesterday for the Josh Warrington Luis Alberto Lopez press conference. We're going to do a separate video about that fight because I think that's a very interesting and tough fight for Josh. I think they've sold like 10,000 tickets for that fight. So the atmosphere for all Josh Warrington fights are crazy, honestly crazy. But I think the atmosphere for this one's just going to be something special. I really do. It's funny, I asked Lopez, I said, how are you going to handle sort of 10,000 people booing you, the atmosphere? He just looked at me and said, I'm from Mexico. I was like, okay, whatever you're selling, sold. So looking forward to that fight. Again, we'll do a separate video about that straight after this one. I do want to focus, though, on this video about the fight in America between Teofimo Lopez and Sandor Martin. Now, I think I said on a video maybe 2 days ago that this was supposed to be Teofimo versus Pedraza, and I said I prefer this. I don't know if that's me saying that I think Sandor's better than Pedraza. He probably is, but it's like I've seen Pedraza. I've seen him against the top guys, and I feel like his ambition is maybe not the same as it once was. That's not discrediting Pedraza. I think he's a really good fighter. Highly rated fighter, right? I mean, he's put in some really good performances, but I think his ambition against the top guys isn't the same. Whereas I think Sandor, coming off that win against Mikey Garcia, one of the big upsets of 2021, I think his ambition, I think we've seen it in their face-offs, I think his ambition is a bit higher than Pedraza, and that's why I think it's going to be a better fight. I'm talking of that upset. Obviously, look, 2021 was the year of the upsets. We had so many. Teofimo Lopez, Cambosos, obviously one of the big upsets. We had, what else? We had Josh Warrington, Mauricio Lara, Kid Galahad losing to Kiko Martinez. This one was a big one, though. Mikey losing to Sandor was a big one. But if you sort of peel the layers back, it maybe wasn't as big an upset as we maybe think it was. Obviously, it was Mikey's last fight. I've spoken to Mikey. I actually saw Mikey Garcia at the, where did I see him? It was either Bivol Canelo or it was Canelo GGG. I'm thinking it was Bivol. No, I think it was Bivol Canelo. And I was talking about, look, you're going to get back in the ring. And he's like, no, I'm done. I've been done for a long time. And this is not discrediting Sandor Martin, but he was already checked out. He was hanging on because there was still good money. And let's not forget, Mikey had a period in his career where he didn't fight for 3 years. So he lost out on a lot of money. So he's hanging on because the checks were so big, the checks were so good. So that's why he wanted to fight. But if you looked at the shape he was in against Sandor Martin, I mean, I've watched Mikey for so many years. That was his worst shape. That was his worst shape. So that's why, as big as it was an upset, and again, you got to credit Sandor going away from home, I don't think it was that big a surprise that Sandor was able to sort of eke out a victory. I don't think so. What I will say, though, I mean, Sandor went from fighting the equivalent, I would say, of like English level fights. If you think about the fights he had, Joey Hughes, K Prosper, he went from like English level to fringe world level and showed that he can hang. He showed that he's there or thereabouts. I'm trying to think of where I think of Sandor as a 140-pounder, probably sort of floating in and around that top 10. But I'm still not quite sure how good Sandor Martin is or can be. He's only 29. He's had quite a lot of fights for a 29-year-old. I think he's had sort of 43, 44 fights, but he's only 29. But I'm still not convinced that he's a guy that's going to gate crash the very elite in the 140-pound division. I'm not. I was very interested to go and see his performance last time out. So again, he caused one of the biggest upsets of 2021. I was like, okay, let me go and see what this guy's really about. Let me see what Sandor can do. Can he build on that performance? And I was lucky to be working on that fight for Matchroom. And he fought Jose Felix in his backyard, in Sandor's backyard. And I was like, okay, let me see what's special about Sandor Martin. And the answer is nothing's really special. He's good. He's good at everything. Technically very sound, but nothing's really special. And what he does do, and this might be actually good for him against Teofimo Lopez, but what he does do, he allows you to come onto him. So he's a very good back foot fighter. I was going to say he's a counter puncher, but he's not even that. He just allows you to come. He wants you to engage. He doesn't want to engage. Against Jose Felix, he only engaged when Jose Felix engaged. So he's just very sticking out his jab on the back foot, short hooks, but he allows you to come on, and that's when he wants you to fight. He's very, very comfortable on the ropes. Not a problem. Again, not a problem fighting back foot. Doesn't go back in straight lines. Always likes to kind of go back in angles. So look, he's a very smart fighter. But Teo is a level above this. Like, Teo should get the job done. I say should because I'm still not 100% convinced as to where Teo is mentally. Physically, Teo is incredible. Like, honestly, in terms of sort of the athletes out there in boxing, Teo must be in the top 10. Like, physically, he's insane. I mean, you go and watch him sort of do like the pull-ups and the skipping and even some of the weights he does. I think his physique for 140 pounds is perfect. Honestly, it's perfect. Obviously, he was shrinking his body into 135. Eventually, he's going to go to 147. But for 140, that's the perfect specimen for 140. It really is. His speed is incredible. He's got very good punch power. I think his athleticism outweighs his boxing ability. I think he's got really good boxing ability. Don't shoot me down. But I look at him as an athlete as opposed to a very skilled boxer. I really do. Like, I don't put him in the skilled boxer category of a Devin Haney or Shakur Stevenson. I don't. I really don't. I think he's a very, very good athlete that if he sticks to a game plan, he can be very, very good. Very, very good. And I think we saw that against Loma. He stuck to a game plan. Yes, the final few rounds got tough for him, but he stuck to a game plan, and that's why he deserved the victory. I also feel, sticking on the Loma subject, I think that victory might have come a bit too soon for him. I don't know if he was able to handle the weight of that victory. Honestly, I don't know, because I think the Teo that I saw, I'm a massive Teo fan, by the way, although I've started to kind of get annoyed with his antics. But if you go and watch sort of the interviews and the build-up to the Loma fight, I think we've got, a very confident young fighter, still quite not sure about himself, but very confident. I think the attitude after that Loma win just went too much. Honestly, it got a bit cringy for me, especially him and his dad. That combination when they're together, Jesus Christ, honestly. And that's why I think he wasn't able to handle the Kambosos loss. Wasn't able to handle it mentally because he wasn't able to handle the weight of the victory against Loma. That's just my own personal opinion. Another personal opinion that I need to throw out there, I think that relationship with him and his dad, look, it's his dad, right? I mean, I get it. Your dad always has your best interest at heart. It doesn't mean, though, that they're the best for you. It doesn't. Not every father-son relationship is going to be that good. And I almost feel like his dad, a bit like Chris Eubank Jr., and where Eubanks kind of finally said, okay, senior, you can stay over there. I can deal with this. I almost feel like for Teo to really kick on and for us to see the best Teo, because I want to see the best. Look, Teo will beat Sandor Martin. I'd be very shocked if he doesn't. Remember, this is final eliminator for the WBC title, which Regis Prograis has. I think for us to see the best Teo, I think his dad needs to take a seat somewhere else and let someone else take over the reins, because there's so much going on behind the scenes in terms of the setup there. That setup behind the scenes has changed so many times, by the way. In the last 3 or 4 fights, it's changed constantly. And I think it needs a constant team. And I think the dad doesn't need to be part of that team. And then I think we might see the best Teofimo Lopez. Honestly, when he just steps away from his dad, gets rid of the ego a little bit, because I think there's a special fighter there. Again, I think there's a better athlete there than there's a boxer, but his boxing combined with what he's got athletically is a force to be reckoned with. It is. So in terms of how I think the fight plays out with Sandor, look, Sandor's happy for Teo to be the one that engages. And I think that might surprise Teo, because what Teo's seen in recent times is fighters like to come onto him. But I think like Teo's going to have to engage, which might be tricky. Again, Sandor's a southpaw. He's not really trained for Sandor because he's been thinking about Pedraza. Remember, Sandor is quite late notice. Not very late notice. It's not like 1 week, but it's late notice regardless. So I think it's going to take a few rounds for Teo to kind of get used to having to chase Sandor around. But I think he will get to him. I think Teo's hand speed is going to cause a problem. Jose Felix, who's not fast at all, he caused Sandor some problems. So although Sandor was very comfortable on the ropes, he got caught a couple of times, got tagged a couple of times. So I think Teo's going to get to him. I think Teo's work rate, is better, especially at 140. I don't think he's as fearful of the gas tank. We know he's got the power. So I'm going for a Teofimo Lopez. I was going to say points, but I'm going for a late stoppage. I think Teo will get him out of there round 10. Round 10, you know me in predictions. I'm awful at predictions, but I think Teo will get him out there in round 10. But to kind of sum up what I've just said in about another 60 seconds, Sandor's a very good European level fighter. And I don't want to discredit the Mikey Garcia win. But again, if you go back and watch those fights, again, look, by the way, he beat K. Prosper and Joey Hughes quite comfortably, but they were English level fights. The equivalent of, some might even say a bit lower than that. So for him then to go to Mikey was like, whoa, okay. But Mikey was out the door. He was out the door, done. Hasn't fought since, right? Won't fight again. So as much as that was a big win, we've got to put it into context. And when you put it into context, maybe it wasn't as big as upset as we think it was. So I think he's a good European level fighter going in there against someone that we know is world level. Do we know he's world level at 140? I think we can say he is. He's going to be world level at 140. If Teo's head is in the right place, Teo wins this one comfortably. If his head's in the right place. If he comes in there with the kind of overlooking him arrogance that he did against Kambosos, then we could be in for an interesting fight. But I think Teo's got enough to get the job done. And fingers crossed we get straight away, we get Teo versus Regis. That's a special fight. And Teo's going to have to, for me, I haven't seen Regis Prograis, Teo's going to have to go up a couple levels to think about beating Regis Prograis, I think, at 140, because Regis has everything. He has that athleticism I was talking about that Teo's got, not to that level, but I think his boxing IQ is better, more experienced. I think he's just a better all-round fighter. But look, that's what we want to see in 2023. Obviously, some good undercard fights as well. Jared Anderson fights. I done a piece with DAZN yesterday, and they're asking me for my my best prospects of 2023, and I don't know if they're best plea because I said Xander Zayas, who's on this card as well. Keyshawn Davis is on this card. So look, it's a good card, good night of boxing. But yeah, looking forward to seeing how good Teo looks. And again, in the long run, if Teo can get rid of his pups and just get another trainer and just go at this with a proper trainer, proper team, like build your team. Go out there and build your best team and keep that team for the next 5 years. And I think we have a special fighter. If it's to chopping and changing, depending upon who we're fighting, then we're going to see a few more upsets, I think, in the Teofimo Lopez resume in years to come. Peace.